what you said, Tony, about developed countries, you know, it's no coincidence that developed countries have, you know, a lot of local libraries, community libraries, and so on. Dapo, this is a document that you developed. I mean, but there are public statistics anyway. 10.5 million Nigerian children are out of school. 47% of Nigerians are illiterate. That is, they cannot read or write. Which is a UNESCO Education for All global monitoring report. Only 25 to 30% of WAEC applicants for the past 5 years secured a credit in mathematics and English language annually. In Lagos State, 71% of schools are private, and 33% of these private schools are classified as mushroom schools. Okay, and a whole lot, but let me go down here. Public libraries in Lagos State are 16. Only 16 public libraries in Lagos State. 13 of them are operated by state government. 2 private libraries that are open for public. 2 of the 16 are private libraries that are open for public use, and 1 is National Library. This is a bit worrying, isn't it?
Worrisome.
So, again, again, how are you connecting this local life? I mean, you've said a lot about that, but I really want you to emphasize that link between some of the statistics you are looking at, you know, and what you are out there doing.
Like you said, you know, those are the real statistics. 13 of those are operated by the state government, and we operate one of the 2 private libraries and the National Library. Now, the reality is that the educational system that we have in Nigeria is able to accommodate a lot of people. But the truth also is that, and based on that statistics, a lot of people are left out, you understand, of that structure, both at primary level, basic level, both at tertiary level, and even after they've graduated. And it seems as if nobody is thinking about these people. You know, you talk about the mushroom schools, for instance, where there are schools that you can have a flat, and you know, you have a school, you know, they don't have facilities. So what we are advocating for is how to make public libraries to do more.
To do more?
Yeah, do more with public libraries. She mentioned the concept of making libraries active. You understand? Making libraries engage the community. And the question is, how can libraries do that? We've been able to do a couple of these things in Ojoko with the library that we set up there. So how do we make libraries active? 1, by creating activities around the libraries that will bring people into the library. You know, so I'll give an instance. The issue of students who are planning to get into tertiary institutions, about 1.7, I think, votes jammed this year, and only about 400,000 can be admitted into our tertiary institutions. So what happens to the 1.3 million? You understand? But if you have a library that has a digital center, you know, students can do online learning. You know, they can come to the library and they can enroll for online courses, you know, while they are still within their community.
So basically, you're advocating not just to have many libraries, more libraries, but also to change the whole concept of a public library.
Yes.
That's very good, because, I mean, that in a way answers the question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
That some people argue that the world has changed. The world has gone so digital. You know, the internet, e-books, and so on. That should we be having libraries as we've always had them? You know, libraries. Somewhere you go to and you see stacks of books, and then you pick your book and then you borrow, or you sit down to read and walk out. So they try to knock the idea of having more libraries around, as we've always known libraries. You know?
I think we have to have designated places where we can think as a thinking room. It's not just, and then the concept of us having digital thing, you find that people, if you have books online, people barely just go social media instead of reading. I know you can be distracted easily. But you can focus your attention on going into a library, access information. You can also converse with the librarian, which will have reputed librarians in each. You can also go in for counseling. In fact, most of this are what we have ready on ground in a library, a P-hub kind of model that we have developed. You should have someone, a trainer in there. We have volunteering processes. We have counseling processes. So like the community should have, it should be a center of the community where you have access to information and you can also transfer them and refer them.
So it's a whole new concept of a public library. Yeah. So if we have more of those all around, then they're able to solve more of those educational problems at local community level.
Yes. So we're not saying, so we have the libraries on ground now. All we are saying is that they can evolve. You understand? You can put in more facilities.
The current public libraries.
The current public libraries,
whether state-owned or private.
Or federal or private. They can evolve into P-hubs. That's what we call them, where you have opportunities for counseling. So somebody is not able to get into university in the local community. What is he doing? You know, but if he walks to the library, he can get a counselor who would advise him on what he can do while waiting for admission. Or he can even do National Open University. You know, even at home, what they need is a center. And the community libraries can also be transformed to become, you know, centers for the National Open Universities in terms of study centers. You know, then there's also volunteering opportunities. About only 10% of graduates are absorbed into the labor market. So what happens to the rest? You know, so with volunteering services offered at these libraries, young people can be gainfully engaged. You know, they can acquire practical skills and they can learn about leadership. We've been able to do that in Ojokoro. We have a lot of graduates that volunteer with us and they are part of our workforce. You know, they are giving back to society, and even though they've not gotten jobs yet, they are still gainfully employed. So that's what we are advocating. The current library system should evolve. Then by the time we now want to set up new libraries, because we need to set up new libraries. Like you mentioned, we have about 16 libraries in Lagos State. Let's even assume we have 20. We have 20 million people.
20 to 23.
So that's between 20 and 23. So that's one library to a million people.
In Lagos State.
You know, so when we come and we say people and young people are not reading, we should be careful.
Yeah, where's the infrastructure?
We should be careful because the library we set up in Ojokoro, we have a lot of young people coming there to read.
But so they have to line up outside.
Yeah, sometimes they have to line up. So sometimes I put on Facebook and say that young people want to read, but we are not creating enough spaces for them.
We are not creating spaces and opportunities for them to read. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about. Yes. Maybe we'll have to come back and do this some other time and talk more about the financial aspects of it and so many other angles, cultural aspects, you know, of it and so many things. But we have to stop now because of time. Okay. Thank you very much, Dapo, for joining us on Channels Book Club. Yeah. And Tony, thank you for joining us.